So, have you ever wondered how to get all your panels mounted on your roof? Iron Ridge has the easiest solution. Roof mounted solar is not scary. It's very easy. As long as you have the equipment to do it and you have the ability to do it, you can get on your roof safely, get this all mounted, and you got plenty of real estate off the ground. No worries about in the way in your yard. So with everything I got here on this roof, any of the stuff you see, if you are interested in it, I will throw links down below. I will throw links to Signature Solar where you can use my coupon code to save some money on your order. I will throw a link down there for Iron Ridge's designer website, so where you can put this together with your roof size. And it's pretty nice because they put together an entire BOM or bill of materials for you. You design it whichever length, width, portrait, landscape, however you want your panels on your roof with however much room you have. You can lay that out in their website and it will basically put together a railing system for you with all your components. You take that right out of there, you export that PDF, and you send it right to Signature Solar, and they will get you a quote on everything that's on that list and make sure that it's good to go for what you're looking for. All right, I'm up here on the roof, just getting some measurements to figure out where I'm putting my panels, or which purlins I'm using to mount my panels to. And I took a measurement on the panels I'm putting up here, the Aptos 440 watt bifacials, and at about 16 inches and 60 inches on the panel, there's mounting holes where they recommend you mount, but there's also multiple other ones on there too. So I took a pretty good guess, and I have a 16-inch one I can use, and then I have a 64-inch purlin I can use. And what that does is it gives me two purlins basically to run my rails down. So here is my purlin at about 64 inches, and the other one is at about 16 inches, and that'll keep the top of the solar panel just below the roof line as well. So that way the wind that comes from the north or kind of west will pass over the top of the solar panel and not try and catch it basically. And that also gives me room for the series panels, the Cirrus panels I have for my mini split. That'll also be going up here on the same mounting system. There's plenty of room on here between that distance for those rails, so we will be sitting good. So I'm gonna get some the S5 brackets up here, and I'm gonna run a string line across here, and I'll mark every 4 feet, and that'll give me a spot to put my brackets down. And then also the thing is with the 4 foot on for anchors, these ribs are at 9 inches each, so I have like one will have 45 inches, and then I'm going to do one at 54 inches I think, or something like that, whatever it was. So one will be just under 4 feet, and the next one will be just over 4 feet. It won't be as bad, but yeah. So that's what we're going to do with these brackets. So we're going to, next step is get them up here, get some screws up here, get a string line, and go to town. I'm just going to run a string line down here, and we're going to get this marked out so we know where to put our rails. There's our first set of rails here. And then it's going to be my first one, and then every 4 feet after that. Let me get those laid out and mark them and start putting them in, I guess. Got my first bracket on, and I stuck a bolt in there. That's what we got going on. I have 4 screws, kind of an angle both directions into that purlin. Got one of the bolts on top, my string line on there. Now if you notice over there, I got 2 brackets staggered because every 16 feet my purlins alternate. So this one is the lower purlin, so I got the bolt holes on top. The next purlin will be sitting up here, so I'm going to take the bracket, rotate it 180 degrees so the bolt holes are on the bottom side. And what that'll do is basically give me a perfectly straight line all the way down the roof for my, I'll go show you the other one here. That'll keep the rail in a straight orientation. Here we go. Get the bolt holes on the bottom side this time. And right here is actually where they alternate. And if you can tell, but this screw hole is slightly higher than this one. So yeah, that's the plan. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these in here because I got them all marked out with an X every 4 feet on the rib. So I'm gonna knock these out quick. Once I get those all on there, then I will bring you guys back here. I got my first part of my row here. I got the S5 brackets screwed down and they actually worked out really well. They have a self-sealing like butyl style tape on the bottom of them. So once you run your screws in there, it just squishes all that stuff out and it works really well. So this is what you got here. This is your standard, these steel panels are your standard, like, very common for pole buildings. The rib is 3/4 of an inch high, it's 1.5 inches wide, and they're every 9 inches is a big, taller rib like this. So that is what these S5 brackets are meant for. Now this rail will continue about another 20 feet down, but I just want to get it started to make sure everything's going to work right before I get too carried away. So I brought up a 4-pack of the rails. I brought up some bonding splices, and I'm going to take this apart and put all these rails together. And I'm going to get them stretched out along here and just basically resting against there. And then I'll get all the bolts in and see what it looks like. See how straight it is. Now, these are not, they're very, very close. There was one that was just a little bit high. But like I said, there's 2 mounting holes on the S5 brackets. The L bracket that attaches to the top has a small slotted area in it too. So you get some play there, I guess. So I'm gonna set you guys down and I'm gonna get this rail put together and then we'll see what it looks like. So I want to give you a little close up here of how to put these T-slots in there. It's pretty simple. Slot there. All I've been doing is just dropping it down, pushing it out. You see it. Let's just tedious. There we go. And as you twist it, it locks into that slot in there. Leaving it loose. Need to run my string line down there because I can see it's just a little wobbly, but I have all these brackets loose yet. This one's tight because it was the last one in line, but there. So now I gotta basically go down the string line here, pull my string line up, and then make sure it's all straight and get everything snugged down. All right, all the brackets are tightened up. I think I'm gonna right down that thing, nice and straight. Now I can move on. I can continue my string line and go right down the top of this one to that side. Once I get the other half done of this top rail, I'll measure down, and I'm going to do the same thing for the next row down there, or this row of screws, I believe, and we'll get that all done. All right, one row down, 3 more to go. I will catch you when I'm done with the other 3 because I don't want to bore you with just sitting there watching me do the same thing over and over and over again. It was pretty self-explanatory. I did show you a couple of them. Yeah, I mean, you slide them together with the bonding splice. You put the T-bolt in the back slot here. Tighten them up a little bit just so they're loose, so you can still move them until you get every one of them in. Once they're all in, then you go back through and you snug them all down and use your string line to make sure everything is straight. So everything is nice and straight here. The brackets don't look straight because, like I said, the purlins alternate on top of each other, back and forth. So the shiny brackets look messed up because of that, but the railing itself is nice and straight. And even if it's not perfectly straight, that is okay because, I mean, you're putting your panel on top of it. Once the panel's on top and you get your tightening bolt in there, or your UFO, whatever you want to call it, to secure the panel to the rail, you won't even see the railing anymore anyway. So I'm going to continue on this and I will catch you when I'm all done. Finally getting to installing my last couple pieces of railing here, and I just want to show you how easy it is to put these splices together. So these splices just get inserted into the end of the tube, and there's these grounding tabs here that they will bite into the inside of the tube, and that allows it to create a bonding for the ground. Pardon the wind, it's probably a little windy up here today. So I got one of my rails up here. This is the grounding splice. It follows the shape of the rail. You simply just slide it in there. That's it. A little stopping tab there that keeps it from going in too far. And I'll show you the other side. Exactly the same thing, just opposite direction. Fits right in there. Together, just like that. So the last thing I'm going to show you is the end cap. It's the Iron Ridge end cap. This is just basically so your railings don't get full of bugs or debris or whatever. So this will be very difficult to do this because I'm on a roof. But here's what you get. A little end cap. Kind of fits right in there like so, and snap, you're done. That's it. I got all of them on there, all 4. Now my railing is all done, and today I am figuring out where to punch my hole to put my pass-through for my conduit into my solar junction box here. This is a SolaDeck. This is straight from Signature Solar. I added the wire grommets on both sides. Those are big enough to pass through 4 wires each. So I will be able to have a 10-panel array here, 2 wires in, another 10-panel array here, fasten this side, and then I'll also have my 4 panels down on the end across the top for the mini split that will also come in this side. So it leaves me with room for one more small array up here that I can run in through outside of the holes. I have enough terminal blocks in here to, I guess it's starting to sprinkle, to do 5 arrays, which is what I planned just to have extra. Sorry. Those do not come with the box. You have to buy these wire glands separate. It does come with this small DIN rail in here. I bought these terminal blocks and these end barriers. They came on this piece of DIN rail. I just didn't take the end barriers off yet because I may have to slide this around. This SolaDeck does come with this grounding bar in here, which I will use to attach to my grounding lugs, which are over there, which I'm going to move closer to this box. I'll be mounting this pass-through underneath this box. So this box will sit basically on top of it, like so. And the top of this gets cut off where the conduit passes through. And then I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom of the box, and it will come in from the bottom. That should be a nice, secure, waterproof way. Plus, this whole thing will fit underneath a panel right here, so it'll keep it out of the direct water and everything. And any water coming down underneath these panels on the roof will go right around the roof gland here. So I don't have to worry about any water getting into this box because there'll be a solar panel on top of it, and then everything underneath here will be sealed up very well. I like to use this OSI quad sealant. It works very well. It holds up very well to sunlight. It's got a great warranty, and it's recommended by all the contractors that do any sort of roof work or steel work, anything outside the house. So that is the plan. So I have to get my measurement off of the end of the roof over to where my closest rafter is, because underneath here I'm going to hold it tight to the rafter, punch through, so I will be able to secure the conduit right to the rafter underneath the roof, and that'll keep that part very secure where it comes through, so it's not moving around. Okay, got everything measured out here. Punch my hole in there. Right in there is my rafter. I'm gonna have to space it out with 2x4 or something on there so I can brace the conduit right underneath the steel roof, because I did my layout of where my solar panels are gonna come, and the next seam would be right here, so I couldn't have my hole too close to that because the framework of the panels is right here, and this ridge, this cover sticks above the top of this by just a tiny bit, so it had to be set inside of that solar panel a little ways. So I just moved it all over about 1.5 inches in so I could space it with a 2x4, and it should line up perfect. So now what I'm going to do is throw a bead of that OSI quad on here, stick this down. I got marks, you can see the marks on the 4 sides for this to set on there, and then I'm going to put about 6 or 8 screws in there just to hold that down. All right, there it is. A lot of that on there because I don't want to do this again, and I don't want it to leak. So now what I did is I just set my box right where I wanted to position it, so I know where to punch my hole. This is tight down, tight to the box. And my mark here, my solar panel will be. I'm far enough over, and then I just traced underneath here with a marker, and there is my hole. So I'm going to get that drilled in there so I can make sure it lines up, and then we'll be onto the conduit inside the barn. And there we go. Got my hole drilled. All right, so I'm back up on the roof now, and as you know, I got the conduit done, as you saw before. It is pushed up right tight against this here grommet. So I need to get this box mounted onto the conduit. I got my fish tape up here. We're gonna push that all the way down into the tack room where the end of the conduit is in my junction box. And then we will be pulling the wire harness up here to get it terminated in this junction box. So that is where we're at right now. I'm gonna go ahead and start by getting this cut off. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my weatherproof compression fitting, this guy right here. This is for EMT. This has an O-ring on it. This part will go into the box through the hole. This part is a compression fitting that gets conduit slid into it, and then it tightens down around the conduit. I'm just taking the washer and the nut off, slide that down onto our conduit, make sure it's fully seated. So inside of this fitting, there's another O-ring in there that makes this a weather tight or waterproof fitting. So I'm just going to make sure to push that down all the way, and it'll seat tight in there. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get this grommet back up over this fitting, because one, there's plenty of it here, and two, that way it'll be much closer to the top where the bottom of the box will be. So this is what we're looking at here. You can see the compression nut is below that, and there's actually a rib inside of here. All right, so we got it in there. Got it tucked up tight. Everything's sitting flush. One thing I'm waiting for yet is I need to get my hardware to secure this box down to the rail, and that will, it's pretty rigid already because it's attached to the conduit, but that'll give it a nice solid mounting point there, keep everything flat. So next up, get that fish tape. I'm gonna push the fish tape down there over to the other end. Okay, so I just double checked the other end. My wire harness is doing just fine. It's actually unspooling like it should, and I got about 8 feet left down there. So I gotta be getting really close here. So a few more pulls, we should have her, hopefully. There it is. Oh, it's a good feeling when that comes out. Okay. All right, here we are. I appreciate you watching the videos. I hope you got something out of this, and I will have more information on this system when I start putting panels up here very soon. So stick around if you want to see more, and thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. There's definitely a object inside of that pipe. Not sure how they got in there. That would explain why it was so hard to get out. Okay. Through here.